per square meter. So you see it's a big difference. So
people basically cannot afford many times to find or to build a safe earthquake safe house.
That's correct. I mean, unless you're very good, unless you have money, you can afford to do that. This is, so this is actually what government is doing now.
The Peruvian government. This is the same area that you were at?
That's area, yeah. That's actually a map of dangers, and it shows you Ica. This is the city of Ica with all these different provinces around. And the Peruvian government, under guidance of Dr. Julio Curuiva, who is advisor to the government of Peru, he proposed a program which is called Sustainable Cities, and he's advocating it for now 15 or 20 years. So the result of the program is that every city now is creating a map. It's called a Mapa de Peligros, which is
Mapa de Peligros, okay?
Yeah. Map of dangers, right? And then you can see this is like muy alto, alto, medio, so it's like very high, high, and medium. And you can see the colors here.
So the darker the color, it looks like
the more dangerous area.
More dangerous to build in that area.
And as you can see, all these colors come along the rivers, because the most dangerous part of the geology for earthquake, I mean for people, is alluvial. Alluvial is a fine-grained sand mixed with gravel. It's deposits of the river, because what it does during earthquake, it creates what's called a solifluction, when sand starts behaving like water. So the house is getting collapsed. They're getting damaged very fast. And that's what most dangerous part.
That's what gives you that feeling when you're standing, that it's almost like you're standing on water.
Yeah, well, and houses can tilt, and they can even turn like this. The stronger geology is apparently here and here in these areas, and geology is really the main geological composition of the rocks is the main thing. For example, in New York City, we have granite, we have gneiss, we have all these strong rocks. And so the Manhattan is on a strong schist. It's another geological type of rock. And we also have...
I'm glad Manhattan is strong with all the buildings on top of it, because otherwise it was sick,
yeah,
right?
and so you don't have the same situation, because it's very solid rock, and so even if earthquake happens, houses will not be tilted or damaged. But here they are. So to map geology very accurately is very important. So these areas, which apparently is a high level of danger, but then you see the greenish color, it's like medium and low. So these maps now exist for most majority of cities in Peru. And that's program sponsored by government. That's a Pisco, and you can see dangerous area right here along the coast, because that's where the sand is, and that's where the village called Tambo de Mora, that's most of destruction happened. Almost 90% of the village collapsed.
Nevertheless, everybody wants to build on the coast because they want a nice view of the water.
And that's the biggest issue for the next generations, because coastal population now in the United States, it's increased for the past, I think, 7 years. By 7 million people on the coast, just on the coast. So especially in countries like Peru, it's very dangerous, because if you live on the coast, you have earthquake, your house will be demolished very fast.
Okay, so how we're running out of time, and I want you to tell me how is your study going to be used?
Okay, for now we have several conclusions. One of them is very interesting, that the purpose is to find out from social part what causes people to move out, who is displaced population, because that's the biggest nightmare and headache for the government. When people get displaced, what to do with them? You can put temporarily tents, but eventually give them a job, you have to give them health insurance and everything. So one of the results which you're obtaining right now is basically that the variable which can guide us to why people move is the living conditions. And living conditions of the house is, do you have water? Do you have sewer? Do you have gas? So that's a living condition. What we found that people with better living condition, they don't move. The most of people who moved were from rural areas, were very poor living conditions. So that's one of the conclusions which we made, and that can be used for government. If you improve living conditions of people, which means also hook up houses to sewer and make them just better, you will not have a problem with displacement. In our case, with the physical measurements, what we found that it's not cement, it's not the quality of cement or bricks, but it's design which is actually important in sustainable housing for, to make houses less vulnerable to earthquakes. So the results will be published in several papers, which we're preparing as we speak right now. And we also have in mind to prepare a short report for Peruvian government with our findings, so they can be informed and then they can make decisions.
Was it a worthwhile experience for you? Would you do it again? Would you tell other students to do something like this?
Yeah, I would do it again. I think it's a great experience just being there and meeting like all these people that have suffered something that you have never been through, and then just trying to help them. I know it's not economical and it's not, we didn't bring anything like physically, but we were there, and whatever the results we're going to have with this survey is going to help them and many other communities.
In the future, the idea is that this study will be used to apply to other victims of other earthquakes?
To other earthquake areas and to see, well, it's only one study. In science, you have to do several similar, you have to apply the same methods to several different areas. So then you can say this method work or this variables, you know, right. So we need to do more work. But I just want to mention what you said, actually. It was interesting that when you come to places which are ruined and somebody tells you a story that, you know, my mother died right here with my sister, and I feel really bad because I'm walking with a stool, measuring the strength of concrete.
Right.
And I cannot help this woman, and she brings me this, you know, chicha morada, it's a drink, you know, and she gives me drink with the ice, and she said, thank you very much. And I'm telling her in my broken Spanish that, you know, I cannot really help you much, I can't build your house.
You are helping
but,
them.
and that's what feeling I got. It was really kind of on the human side. That
Listen, in the long run, you both are helping them, and I thank you very much for being on the program. We appreciate what